welcome to Nile TV International's continuous coverage of stories around the region and the world. Sudan's army said on Thursday that paramilitary forces launched drone strikes targeting a northern town housing a major dam, while fighting between the foes raged in the strategic region of Kordofan. Drones targeted the Sudanese army headquarters, the airport, and the Meroe Dam, with an army statement saying it had intercepted the attacks that it blamed on the paramilitary forces, the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF militias. A source from the Sudanese intelligence service said 7 projectiles had been fired, while sources in the area heard 10 explosions. Witnesses counted more than 24 explosions between midnight and dawn, and added that the town, about 350 kilometers north of Al-Khartoum, was plunged into darkness after a full power cut. Clashes and fires have been recorded in recent days in the town of Baba Nusa, the last army stronghold in West Kordofan state. In late October, the Rapid Support Forces militias captured El Fasher in Darfur, the last army stronghold in the vast western region, consolidating its hold over the area. Since the fall of El Fasher, where the army said thousands were killed in a single day by the RSF militias, fighting has shifted to neighboring Kordofan region. People who have fled El Fasher described abuse, assaults, especially of girls and young women, describing that young men were often being shot on sight. Many are reporting much of the same kind of violence in Kordofan, with the violence there forcing at least 50,000 people to flee their homes. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Wednesday called for international action to cut off weapons to the RSF militias, saying any backers would face repercussions. According to the International Organization for Migration, 90,000 civilians have fled El Fasher since it fell to the RSF militias. The war between the Sudanese army and the RSF militias has killed tens of thousands of people and displaced nearly 12 million more, and triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. The violence has escalated dramatically in recent weeks, with the paramilitary seizing control of Al Fasher in Darfur, with reports of atrocities committed by the RSF militias multiplying. With us now over the phone is international relations expert Dr. Ahmed Mostafa. Dr. Mostafa, good evening. Thank you, as always, for giving us your time. Sir, where do you see the situation in Sudan at the moment, being described as one of the worst, if not the current worst, humanitarian crisis globally?
This is because some, global forces trying to impose its agenda. And as we said before, if you remember a couple of weeks before, Mr. Mohammed, Africa became like the latest battlefield between the new world order and the new powers or forces and the current world order, I mean the West. Therefore, it's going to be some sort of victims and things like that. Also, don't forget that Israel and Ethiopia and one of the Arab countries, because they are, carrying out specific agenda, they're trying to decrement Egypt in this regard. And we already described that before, because there is a direct dialogue between the head of the RSF and Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister, and so on. And because, Ethiopia is a bloc country, and also they are trying to reach like one of, port or controlling one of the ports in Eritrea on the Red Sea. Therefore, they're trying to do this chaos and making problems just to make Egypt busy with the Sudan and Ethiopia alone, just to start to make, a chaos in Eritrea, just to reach the Red Sea. And today, this morning, I think Mr. Badr Abdelati highlighted such issues and said that only the countries of the Red Sea that can, or they having the right of the management of the transportation via this international, passage for everything. And any country that will, threaten the safety of the Red Sea, I think it will be, affected and will be aggrieved by its bad actions. Just sending, tacit, messages to Ethiopia as well, because Ethiopia also supporting, the RSF to do that and making aggressive pressures on Egypt in this regard, and these pressures representing in socio-economic, pressures, as well as, a rise in the rates of the commodities and so on, as well as strategic and, these kind of pressures in this regard. Therefore, it is correlated. Thank God we know and we are aware of all of that. Ethiopia, they are in a very bad situation because America don't want to make Egypt mad to them. And all of that was also coming as a consequence after our success the last month, just to have the ceasefire agreement concerning our brothers in Gaza. And we didn't waive any rights of the people of Gaza, despite the daily violations from Israel in this regard, because the two issues or the three issues are co-related. Israel trying to control over the transportation or the transit via the Red Sea, therefore they're trying to use its arms, maybe the RSF and Ethiopia in this regard. Egypt also has its own, arms that will extinguish all the Israeli, impacts and actions in this regard. We know everything. The presidency very aware, the intelligence very aware, therefore we cannot do that in this regard. We're trying to support, Sudan as far as we can strategically and so on. Therefore, I have also another good news that in some areas in Sudan also they dropped all the drones that came from the RSF. Of course, we have some areas like El-Fasher is still aggrieved or so on, but we try to control, as far as we can, the right places for the Sudanese national, forces and so on. And this is what we are watching and witnessing every day, pressures on Egypt. But this is the price because you are the leader and the biggest and the top-rooted country in the region and in Africa.
Yes, Dr. Mostafa, Foreign Minister Abdulati was in Turkey yesterday. He met with the Turkish president. He also met with his Turkish counterparts. They talked about a lot of issues, including Gaza and Sudan. And we are hearing now from Turkey a language similar to Egypt's language when it comes to Sudan. Where Turkey as well is saying that dividing Sudan is a red line, that we have to preserve the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of Sudan. And these are Egypt's words. So do you think that we are having now some kind of joint, Egyptian-Turkish coordination and cooperation regarding the situation in Sudan? And if so, how can this change things on the ground in Sudan?
It's a bit complicated because unfortunately Turkey before it was supporting to the RSF for having some alliances in somehow with the Zionist entity, Israel, and so on. But once Israel started to say that Turkey will never have a rule in the coming, governance in Gaza and so on, and the forces that expected to be over there just to keep the security of Gaza, according to some clashes in Syria in this regard, because Israel and America want to control the sources of the energy over there, whether in the sea or in the land. I think now there is some sort of a change in the the situation of Turkey. We found Erdogan here at the time of signing Gaza ceasefire agreement. It was like a good development and expressing the goodwill in this regard. Also, Egypt is, the controlling party in the matter of Gaza. Therefore, maybe we promised just to have a rule in the future of Gaza with us. This is why we have like a shift in the situation in Sudan, and we don't allow to divide Sudan into two countries because they know that it will affect negatively the security and the stability and the socio-economic status in Egypt. Therefore, now there is some sort of a change in the situation. Otherwise, also we have the matter of the Eastern Mediterranean, gas, union, and Turkey is trying just to have a good coordination with the Egyptian side in this regard, because without the approval of Egypt to coordinate the work and exploration and so on, nothing will be achieved in the Eastern Mediterranean.
Okay. So, what about the U.S. position? We heard U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio today saying, that there must be an international action to cut off weapons to the RSF militias, the Rapid Support militias. And Mr. Rubio also said that any backers would face repercussions. I mean, and you mentioned the backers of the RSF. You clearly mentioned, as everybody knows, Israel, Ethiopia, and the unnamed, the Arab country that you chose to call unnamed, but everyone knows that country. I mean, so again, we do not have to name it because everybody knows that Arab country. The question is, do you think the U.S. is serious about this position, and that it might target these backers of the RSF if they continue to do so? U.S. always they have contradicted, stances because they are always playing, as I told you several times before, as an expert. They are working on just to manage the dispute. And the matter of manage is just to play as far as we can to get, our final benefits or gains or whatsoever. We can say contradicted speeches just to satisfy a specific part. But in fact, Egypt is aware of that. And if, America is not adhered just to say to Israel, no, you are doing childish acts, stop supporting RSF, and to this Arab country that it wants to replace Egypt in the decision making in the region, and to Ethiopia just to stop it, I think it will be a very big problem for Israel in the future. Because without the Egyptian, adhering to this ceasefire agreement and embracing of all the parties, including even the Arab, whether Qatar or Turkey, nothing will be achieved, and it will be very dangerous for Israel if they continue one more year or 2 more years, because the economic situation in Europe is dying. Should you know that? As I told you several times before, they will not continue to give Israel 150 billion of US dollars one more time, whether the EU, whether the United States, because they are the main two backers or funders for the Zionist entity. And the cancer in our region is Israel itself and the Zionist entity, because they are not respecting the international law, they are not respecting itself, they violate all the agreements. We were the only country that we hit them and we couldn't, repay to us. But they try to do that indirectly. Finally, Dr. Mostafa, one last question. Now there seems to be awareness in the international community about the situation in Sudan, which seemed to be overshadowed for much of the time by the Israeli war crimes in Gaza. But now the war crimes of the RSF in Sudan have been uncovered, and the international community is very well aware of what's happening there. Now that the U.S. is talking with this language, and Egypt is consistent and has been consistent and continues to be consistent about the importance of the unity, the territorial integrity, the sovereignty of Sudan, and backing official institutions in Sudan, and fighting any militias and against any militias that commit war crimes. Do you think that we could reach some kind of settlement in the near future in Sudan, something like the Gaza ceasefire deal so as to at least bring an ease of the suffering of the Sudanese people now who are facing a grave humanitarian catastrophe?
Exactly, because we're still having several cards in this regard. We didn't play all our cards. We play 1 or 2, but we still have 10 cards to play, including and not limited to our good relations with the new world forces and powers. And they are calling each other every day if you want our support, and because all the countries, they want to keep the satisfaction of Egypt because they know the significance of our rule, whether in the Arab world, in the Middle East issues, as well as in Africa. And Egypt is the most important country in that respect, and we proved that. Once we made the ceasefire, all the Western, or most of the Western presidents and kings and so on came to Egypt just to witness the undersigning of the ceasefire agreement. After that, the inauguration of the new Grand Museum. After that, the Royal Gala and so on. It was the only country in the region that's having this Royal Gala and in the region. Therefore, we are very important, very significant for all the powers. And if the West is weak, very weak economically now, we can use the other cards in these records. But they have to regret over that after, using the other cards, because it will be a very worse situation. It will be like a degradation of their existence in, the region as well as in the continent and so on. We are very strong, according to what President said and what, the intelligence said and what Badr Abdelati said. And if they are not respecting and treating with us tete-a-tete, I think they will lose a lot especially in this region and so on, because we have several cards to play.
All right. On that note, we thank you very much, as always, Dr. Ahmed Mostafa, the Professor of International Relations, for your time and for your valuable insight. Thank you, sir. And thank you, dear viewers, for watching us. In about 15 minutes from now, we'll be back with a panorama of news, reviewing the latest in politics, business, and sports. Please stay with Nile TV.